Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 24th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, all right. Holiday lights, the hustle and bustle of travel and shopping, and cold winter-like weather. Here's reporter Shalina Chetlani.
Well, as we take a look at satellite and radar here across the area, we've had rain in southern Nevada, also into Arizona. The west has been very active, and we're taking a look at some closer radar here. We go in for a closer view. We see how we had some showers pushing out of some eastern areas, Borrego Springs down towards Mount Laguna. That pushing off to the east. And then for the overnight tonight, we'll see a temperature of 51 degrees, mostly cloudy, perhaps a shower around 4 tonight. Our weather highlights here. We've got a couple of Christmas showers on the way for tomorrow. Rain and mountain snow moving in for Wednesday night and Thursday. In fact, we will have to watch for some areas of flooding potential for Wednesday, late night and Thursday. Sunshine on the way for Friday. I'll talk about all of that coming up in just a few moments.
And KPBS reporter Shalina Chetlani has a look at what we're looking at locally.
And you can see the jet stream out over the western Pacific. It jumps up towards Alaska, and then it starts to dive to the south again. And then
James Brotherton, meteorologist at the National Weather Service in town, says cold air is flowing down from the north, bringing rain to low elevations and snow to the mountains.
Probably our biggest concern is going to be in the mountains. We have snowfall 1 to 2 feet above 4,000 feet. The snow levels are going to be lowering on Thursday to around 4,000 feet. So anyone traveling east of San Diego over the mountains or north towards Las Vegas, they're probably going to see some snow-covered roads.
With all the snowfall and rain this week, the California Highway Patrol is reminding drivers to prepare their cars. And that's especially for wet, slippery, and curved roads like in the mountains, says Officer Jake Sanchez.
Bald tires on a hot, dry surface is okay. But bald tires on a wet surface, again, you're not going to be able to maintain control of that car. So plan for it, and if you plan for it, you can leave an hour or two early, depending on how far you're going, to ensure that you can drive safely and get to your destination safe.
With the winter storm coming in Wednesday night and landing on Thursday, these mountains in the east towards Julian and Palomar are going to be caked with 1 to 3 feet of snow. So meteorologists here at the National Weather Service are saying that if you're going to be driving through these mountains, your tires better have chains on them, and you better have a winter survival kit. And that's not all, Brotherton says. People should get ready for some strong winds from the east.
Our trees are used to the winds coming from the west. So we could see some small pieces of trees breaking off and palm fronds, flying down the street and things like that. So expect to see some of those winds developing Thursday.
And for families planning on going to any snowy areas to sled or have a snowball fight, the California Highway Patrol is reminding residents there probably won't be any restrooms or trash cans. So plan ahead and don't leave any trash behind. Shalina Chetlani, KPBS News.
While on his holiday break, President Trump spent the morning wishing Merry Christmas to service members around the world, responding to North Korea's threat of a Christmas gift and firing off about the upcoming Senate impeachment trial. Nadia Romero has the latest from Washington.
Hello, everyone, and I want to wish you an amazing Christmas.
On video conference call, President Trump greets 5 military units deployed around the world.
What did you get?
Even taking their questions from abroad.
Oh, that's a tough question.
Like what he got Mrs. Trump for Christmas.
I think I'll answer that by saying I'm still working on a Christmas present. Is that okay?
The president then shifted to more pressing matters of national security. North Korea promised a Christmas gift for President Trump. A source tells CNN the gift could involve taking denuclearization off the table and abandoning negotiations with the U.S.
Maybe it's a nice present. Maybe it's a present where he sends me a beautiful vase as opposed to a missile test, right? I may get a vase. I may get a nice present from him. You don't know.
Possible trouble abroad.
Article 1 is adopted.
To the black mark on his record after the president was impeached by the House. Now the White House and Republicans prep for his pending Senate impeachment trial.
What we need to do is to listen to the arguments, have a written questioning period, and then decide.
But one thing the president can hang his hat on, the economy. wrapping up 2019 with job growth and low unemployment.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
In Washington, Nadia Romero, KPBS News.
On this Christmas Eve, another military family is in mourning. The Department of Defense has identified U.S. Army Sergeant Michael Goebel as the service member who was killed in Afghanistan this week. The 33-year-old was from New Jersey. He's the 20th American to die in combat in Afghanistan this year. Billions of federal dollars will flow to private detention centers that work with ICE. The Trump administration has announced more than $6 billion in new contracts for detention centers in our state. Those include facilities operated by CoreCivic in San Diego and Calexico. The new contracts come just weeks before a new California law takes effect, which would ban future contracts. ICE works with the facilities to hold people detained in immigration cases. Like its counterpart here in San Diego, SeaWorld Orlando says it will begin 2020 by changing its centerpiece killer whale show. The theme park will replace its One Ocean show with a program called Orca Encounter. That program is about killer whales' role in the ocean ecosystem behaviors the animals exhibit in the wild, the importance of conservation, and animal welfare practices at SeaWorld. One Ocean was SeaWorld's first show that did not include trainers in the water with the killer whales. The changes come after the 2010 death of a SeaWorld Orlando trainer, Don Brancho, who was battered and drowned by a killer whale. Father Joe's Villages served up a special meal today featuring food prepared by former residents. KPBS reporter Joe Hong attended the meal service and spoke to volunteers about what made the holiday meal so special.
Jeff Javier and his daughter Lucy have been volunteering at Father Joe's every Christmas Eve for the past 10 years.
I always tell her she's lucky to have what she has, so I want to teach her to be grateful for everything she has.
Father Joe's Villages in downtown San Diego serves meals every day, but the one on Christmas Eve is special.
We're challenged in many ways, obviously, but we also have many blessings. So let's take the opportunity to bless this meal that we have before us.
Deacon Jim Vargas, the president and CEO of Father Joe's Villages, says the meal requires extra effort from local volunteers.
Thank you. Enjoy your meal.
Today is special because unlike the usual daily meals that are buffet style, where people go up for the meal, here they're served at the table. So it's more like fine dining. We have even more volunteers with us to be able to accomplish that.
Merry Christmas.
The volunteers served more than 600 meals of turkey, green beans, mashed potatoes, and cornbread. The food was prepared by former residents who entered the shelter's culinary training program. Shannon Weston is a former resident of Father Joe's and now works in the culinary program.
The big thing is that you have to thaw the turkeys for several days in advance. It's several days of preparation and just panning up all the food. You see all these people here. It's a whole lot of turkeys.
But for the Father Joe, meals provide the foundation for a lot more.
Everything at Father Joe's Villages begins with the meal. This means all these people, by getting food, might get into one of our rehab programs. So it's the beginning of a process that we hope to change their lives over the next year.
Can you take two?
Joe Hong, KPBS News.
We see it here in San Diego, people, families living in their cars, and more is being done all across the state to come up with a safe haven for them to park. Dan Simon reports.
Is it somewhat comfortable?
No, not at all.
No?
It's very uncomfortable.
Each night, Lauren Cush climbs into the back of her Toyota Prius, turning it into a bed.
My knees basically are to here, and my torso barely fits in here, so it's like this.
She is part of a surging population of homeless in California living in their vehicles, cars and RVs. 16,000 in Los Angeles County alone, more than a quarter of the nearly 60,000 homeless throughout the county.
Even though it's on wheels, it's still a house.
Megan Sue Belafonte and Sharonda Beavers are living in this rickety RV on the outskirts of San Francisco.
I like being in control, and I get to change my neighbors all the time.
Without it, they say they'd be on the streets, living in a tent.
Over medium, you flip over.
Here, they say they can spread out and cook their own meals. It's an element of the crisis far less visible, but no less painful for people like Megan Sue, who says she was evicted from her home 3 years ago after her husband died of cancer.
I didn't have the money for first, last, and month's down payment. I didn't have any credit because it was all my husband's name.
I try to save all my receipts.
Homeless advocates say the growing number of people living in their vehicles has prompted a need for so-called safe parking spaces.
The two largest populations that apply to a safe parking program, seniors over the age of 62 on a fixed income, and people under the age of 40 saddled with college debt.
Emily Yetta Cantra manages the nonprofit Safe Parking LA, which works with churches and other organizations to provide parking spaces at night for the homeless. This lot in LA's Koreatown has security guards, basic restroom facilities, and is situated in a quiet neighborhood, allowing occupants to get some rest.
How long do people typically use the lots?
I mean, it could be anywhere from a week to, very sadly, it could be over a year for someone who has very high needs, is working with a case manager.
San Francisco has opened up its first safe parking lot, joining other Bay Area cities like San Jose and Oakland. Pioneered by Santa Barbara more than 15 years ago, safe parking lots have reached other states as well, including Oregon and Washington.
I don't have to worry about being raped. Don't have to be worried about being robbed in the middle of the night.
Lauren, now an Uber driver, calls the LA lot a lifesaver. She's been using it since June. A college graduate, she worked a number of decent paying jobs before things bottomed out. She recently enrolled in a computer coding class, determined to make a better life for herself.
I'm going to be an office worker again. I'm not going to be here doing this. I'm moving out of the situation.
Making a night's rest enabled, she says, by a safe parking space, all the more important. Dan Simon, CNN, Los Angeles.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, war in Syria continues as we look into the mysterious death of a humanitarian worker. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Forget Black Friday. The biggest shopping day was Super Saturday, and it was a record breaker. Retail analysts at Customer Growth Partners say December 21st was the biggest single day in U.S. retail history. The firm estimates more than $34 billion was spent. That beats out Black Friday by 10%. The co-founder and former CEO of Uber is stepping down from the company's board of directors. Travis Kalanick co-founded Uber in 2009 and built it into the world's most valuable startup. He resigned in 2017 after a series of scandals that included a mass departure of company executives. Kalanick says the time is right for him to focus on other business opportunities, including a startup called Cloud Kitchens, which is a smart kitchen for delivery-only restaurants. First, plastic bags, then plastic straws, and now coffee cups. Several California cafes are eliminating single-use paper and plastic cups to help reduce waste. The movement is strong in the Bay Area, where shops decided to stop using disposable cups after they were found in nearby waterways. Customers now either bring in their own mug or buy a refundable glass jar for 50 cents if they want coffee to go.
You know, the most expensive part of many drinks is actually the cup itself and not actually the beverage going inside of it.
I think it'll take time for people to make those changes to their personal behavior.
One group opposed to eliminating paper cups is a disabled group which says glass or ceramic mugs are too heavy or slippery for people with limited mobility. They're asking cafes making the change to keep a few paper cups on hand for those who need them. You're going to want to warm up with some hot cocoa tonight or coffee tonight. Cold, wet weather will last the next couple of days, but the sun will return just in time for this weekend's Holiday Bowl. Regina Miller has our forecast.
Well, our satellite and radar over the last couple of hours here, you can see how we've had some showers, especially to the east of the mountains that started to push off eastward. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 51 degrees. Could be a shower around for tonight as well into Chula Vista, also San Diego, and then up towards Oceanside. We see that chance for a shower. Mostly cloudy in Borrego Springs at 43 degrees. We do have a cold storm pushing in for Wednesday night and Thursday. So Christmas night, especially late at night, and Thursday. Snow levels in the 3,500 to 4,000 feet range, and we could see as much as 4 to 8 inches below 4,000 feet. So we do have a couple of showers around for your Christmas day. That rain at the coast and mountain snow Wednesday night and Thursday. Sunshine returns on Friday, but we do have a winter storm warning here in effect for the mountains in San Diego County. So our futurecast starting off at 7 a.m. for tomorrow. You can see how we've got some showers showing up here into San Diego up to La Jolla. And then this is as we go through the afternoon, a couple of showers. During the overnight, Wednesday night, late night, into Thursday morning. Look at this, at 6 in the morning. Rain could be coming down heavy at times, so we'll have to watch. There could be some areas of flooding. We're talking before the whole period is out that we could see maybe an inch or more around San Diego. We have some snow continuing for Thursday through the morning hours, even into the afternoon in the mountains. Tomorrow's forecast, San Diego County. We've got a high of 60 degrees in Oceanside, a couple of showers. We've got a couple of showers down towards Chula Vista. Along the coast, Wednesday night especially, late night and Thursday, periods of rain. Plenty of sunshine returning for Friday and Saturday and warming up. Inland areas going to have cool weather with rain for late Wednesday night especially and Thursday. Some sunshine returns and temperatures get milder. Snow showers Wednesday, but then cold with wet snow on Thursday in the mountain areas and a little bit of a wintry mix and cold on Friday. We have Wednesday night rain and Thursday in the desert locations, partly sunny skies, but staying cool. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
As 2019 comes to a close, we're looking back on some of the biggest stories of the year. The weather certainly played a part. Wildfires this fall led to major precautionary blackouts across the state, from fires to hurricanes and more. Daryl Forges has some of the top weather stories of 2019.
Howling winds, catastrophic flooding, and indescribable destruction. In September, one of the year's worst weather events battered the Bahamas. Hurricane Dorian first made landfall on the Abaco Islands as a 185-mile-per-hour Category 5. Then, just hours later, Dorian made its second landfall on Grand Bahama and stalled. Fierce winds lashed the island for nearly 24 hours.
Where I was staying, the roof caved in, the wall caved in.
Homes and businesses were wiped off their foundations or splintered like toothpicks. The storm surge and relentless rain led to devastating and deadly flooding.
It came over the roof. I would imagine 21 feet at least.
Howard Armstrong survived the storm, but his wife did not.
And she just drowned on me.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
More than 600 people were killed, and hundreds of others are still missing. Just days later,
Hurricane Dorian has its sights set on North Carolina.
And on September 6th, the storm made landfall over Cape Hatteras at a 90-mile-per-hour Category 1. But its effects were felt all across the Carolinas. High winds, downed power lines in Charleston, South Carolina, kicked up violent surf along the coast, and spawned a couple of tornadoes, including this one near Wilmington, North Carolina.
It was so fast. I remember hearing a loud noise. Next thing I know, the trailer started shaking.
According to Google Trends, Hurricane Dorian is the most searched news story of 2019. Also in September,
the most wild thing I have ever seen.
Tropical Storm Imelda dumped heavy flooding rains across parts of South Texas.
Just about every road in Winnie is flooded right now.
The storm formed near the Texas coast and made landfall an hour and a half later. As it slowly moved inland, Imelda inundated towns, prompting water rescues and road closures, and caused rivers to rise and overflow their banks. Several barges on the San Jacinto River broke free, with one slamming into a bridge along Interstate 10 and two becoming lodged underneath. According to the National Weather Service, Harris County received more than 15 inches of rain, while some areas in nearby Jefferson County picked up more than 3.5 feet. In the spring, severe storms produced numerous damaging tornadoes. Between late April and late May, there were 500 reports of tornadoes across 22 states, including Ohio, Oklahoma, and Missouri, and Kansas.
It sounded like a freight train going over.
Tens of thousands of people were left in the dark, and dozens of homes were damaged or destroyed.
Felt like some hail or something, and my husband looked up and he said, well, we don't have a roof anymore.
May of 2019 set a record with tornadoes reported for 14 consecutive days. And in Northern California,
they're very erratic. They haven't calmed down much.
hurricane-force wind gusts helped fuel the Kincade fire in Sonoma County. Flames erupted in late October and quickly spread, making the blaze hard to contain.
We just can't keep ahead of it.
The massive fire raged for nearly 2 weeks near Geyserville, prompting thousands of people to leave their homes. The Kincade fire charred nearly 78,000 acres and destroyed more than 300 structures.
They'll rebuild, and it's just heartbreaking for them, to lose everything. I couldn't imagine.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
And all of those stories played out amid the backdrop of climate change. And that was the focus of today's KPBS Midday Edition. You can listen and you can stream it anytime at kpbs.org and on the Midday Edition podcast. It's a deeply religious night for Christians around the world, and a short time ago, Pope Francis presided over a late-night mass at the Vatican. Part of the Pope's message this year is God loves everyone, even the worst of us. A choir sang the first Noel and other hymns as the Catholic faithful marked the birth of Jesus Christ. Pope Francis also called for followers to allow themselves to be transformed by Jesus and to stop trying to change others. The Pope will also deliver a Christmas Day speech and noontime prayers. We have a lot of Christmas programming for you tonight on KPBS, including the San Diego Opera's performance of All Is Calm. It airs at 8 p.m. during last year's production. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando got this behind-the-scenes look.
Imagine being in a trench along the Western Front in 1914 and being close enough to your enemies to hear them.
Only yards at times separated us. In fact, so close, you could hear a chap coughing.
In this theater, that is no further than the back row. So these people are going to be as close as the troops were on that night when everything started.
The night conductor Juan Carlos Acosta is referring to is Christmas Eve 1914, when British, French, and German soldiers engaged in an unofficial ceasefire. This Christmas truce, as it came to be known, is the subject of San Diego Opera's All Is Calm at the Balboa Theater.
These people who had such great differences were literally trying to kill each other just hours before, were able to find something that pulled them out of the trenches to celebrate Christmas.
And there was a lot of commotion in the German trenches. And then there were those lights. I don't know what they were. And then they sang, Stille Nacht. Stille Nacht.
I don't believe the Christmas truce would have happened were it not for song. That the men began to sing to one another across no man's land, and the international language of music that allowed them to get past their language differences. But it also built a trust and a camaraderie and a sense of humor between the opposing armies. I really don't believe that without song, the truce would have happened.
The story of the Christmas truce of 1914 fascinated Peter Rothstein, and he decided to turn it into the choral opera All Is Calm. Director Alan E. Hicks says there's beauty in the idea that music could be the catalyst to bring enemies together.
And the way it started historically was not with someone coming over and having a conversation, but with the British hearing the Germans singing tunes and wanting to be part of that. That is what drew them to no man's land, and that is what actually got them to shake hands and say, let's not shoot at each other, let's celebrate this beautiful day together. It was the music that did that.
Just as the soldiers of these opposing armies came together to form a single bond of humanity.
At darkness, we marched forward to the trenches like Father Christmas with parcels hanging from us.
If I think of the moral of this story, it's that each of us as an individual has the capacity to create peace, because the soldiers did that, right? They stopped war for a moment and created peace.
You know, it was really the lowest of the ranks that made the truce happen. And I wanted to get that into the piece, that that the men felt more in common with their enemy than they did with their commanding officer.
Perhaps these soldiers of all is calm will inspire individuals today to try and find common ground with their enemies in ways that their leaders may not be willing to do.
For a single night, no man's land was every man's land. And we, the lowest of the ranks, achieved what the Pope himself could not. In the middle of the war, we had ourselves a Merry Christmas.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And on Christmas night, we will revisit some of the year's best stories from KPBS, local arts, tech, and science. It's some of our favorite feature reporting from 2019. That's on Wednesday evening edition at 5 and 6:30. And we leave you tonight with Christmas music from the Boston Orchestra with a special conductor. 7'6" Boston Celtic center Taco Fall played the part last night. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening and a very Merry Christmas.